we do. I'll pass all the words to Cilean for the first presentation.
Thank you everybody for attending this presentation. At such an early in the morning, hour in the morning. I hope you had your coffee. So before I begin the presentation, I just want you to reflect upon this question that you have in front of you, and I'm going to go over it again at the end when we discuss some of your questions or comments or suggestions for further research. So what do you think are the different aspects of civic education that are the most important, whether you think about your country, your region, or your own school? So just reflect upon it while I present. And the type of information that I'm going to present to you is a comparative analysis of civic education and through the perceptions of teachers in 3 countries. First, I did an analysis of Chile and Mexico, but then I aggregated some data of Italy, of course. So there are 3 main concerns surrounding this topic. The first one has to do with how students and young people in different countries are, during the last years, are engaging less and less with what we consider civic participation. But their traditional ways of participation are not only declining, they're changing. So they are now participating in different ways, such as volunteering in different activities, social activities, some activism, and what we are now calling digital citizenship. We have to reflect upon how civic education is now a gateway to participation, and how schools and the educational system can contribute to this topic. For instance, the role of schools is very important and can be a key component in fostering active citizenship engagement and in young people, because it contributes to the knowledge, to develop knowledge, skills through the teaching of knowledge in this topic. And also in promoting critical thinking. This is something that goes in a transversal way, in a cross-curricular way, and it's very important for our students to develop these type of competencies. And also, through the teaching of civic and citizenship education, we can instill values or teach values or promote, foster values of solidarity, empathy, and collaboration amongst peers, which is obviously needed to become responsible citizens and take informed decisions. So the objective of this study is very simple. It's just to compare teachers' perceptions initially in Mexico and Chile, but then I added Italian data to provide insight on how teachers' perceptions across various countries can inform global educational policies and best practices. So the method is about the research design. It's an empirical, descriptive approach to compare similarities and differences between the countries, using specifically the 2016 cycle, because unfortunately Mexico and Chile did not participate in the 2022 cycle. So that's our last participation for the moment. And this study, ICCS, includes many different context questionnaires, including a national survey, a context questionnaire for the students, for the schools, and the teachers. And in this case, I used the teacher questionnaire that is comprised of 22 items that cover teachers' perceptions, demographics, and their professional practices, amongst other things. In total, we have 5,212 teachers amongst the 3 countries, Chile, Mexico, Italy, and Mexico. So about the data that I use, the IEA developed and created 6 scales that collected information about teachers' perceptions on what type of activities do they foster and do they engage in with their students within the community, what perceptions they have about their own classroom climate, what they report on the type of activities that they do with the students within the class, what level of confidence and what type of topics they feel very confident or most confident in teaching within this subject matter, and some information about their professional development activities, addressing topics related to civic and citizenship education and the type of methods, teaching methods that they use within this class. But I also analyzed 2 key additional variables that I feel are very important, and they have to do with what teachers perceive are the 3 main elements in teaching civic and citizenship education at their school, and what they think are aspects that need improving in civic and citizenship education, such as materials and service training, and cooperation amongst teachers, and so on and so on. So some of the key findings, I'm going to start with 2 variables. For instance, with what the teachers perceive that are the most important elements or aims or purposes of teaching civic and citizenship topics, there are similar responses in the 3 countries, Chile, Mexico, and Italy. Chile in orange, Mexico in blue, and Italy in green. The responses were similar of all the teachers in 3 countries, in that almost 7 out of every 10 teachers think that the most important aim of this subject matter or topic is to promote knowledge of citizens' rights and responsibilities. Then, well, teachers in Mexico prioritize the teaching of topics related to conflict resolution. Italy and Chile emphasize the development of critical and independent thinking. But almost half of Italian and Mexican teachers consider that the topic of respect and safeguarding the environment are priorities in this subject matter or in this transversal topic. Teachers in Chile highlight that conflict resolution is the 3rd priority of their teaching materials or the teaching topics in civic education studies. What do they think? What do teachers think is needed to improve civic and citizenship education in their schools? I'm going to view it in 2 ways. Firstly, more than half of teachers in Chile and Italy agree that more instructional time allocated to this topic is needed. Then teachers from Chile, teachers' opinion from Chile, they report that more in-service training in this subject matter and a new national curricula is needed, which after 2016 had some changes. And Mexico, this is a very interesting topic. Mexican teachers report that one of the most important, more than half of Mexican teachers report that one of the most important things that needs improvement in their teaching of this topic is more parental involvement with their students. So On the other hand, less than 10% of the teachers in Chile and Mexico want greater involvement of external authorities in the classroom and in this topic. And in Mexico, by no surprise, due to political changes in the country that obviously have permeated in civic education, they report that less than 10% of the teachers report that more formal assessment of civic education is needed. And in Italy, less than 10% of the teachers report that materials and textbooks and the national curricula need improvement. About the scales, now we're going to talk about that. When it comes to what teachers promote with the students in the area of participating in the community activities, there are similarities within the three countries in that teachers promote participation in activities for underprivileged people or underprivileged groups. About 4 out of every 10 teachers in the three countries. Chilean and Mexican teachers have similar participation in cultural and multi and intercultural activities such as cultural diversity and food and street markets. And Mexican and Italian teachers agree or report that taking part in campaigns to raise people's awareness is an activity that they engage in with their students. Italian teachers, on the other hand, they report that the highest percentage of participation is in cultural activities where they go to the theater or to music events with their students. Almost a little bit more than 8 out of 10 teachers report this. And the three countries have a noticeable difference in what teachers report in students' participation in human rights project, whereas Chile, 21% of the teachers report doing these type of activities with their students, 6 out of 10 teachers in Mexico, and a little bit less than half of teachers in Italy do these activities. When it comes to classroom climate and civic-related activities, somewhat more than 90% of teachers in the three countries perceive that their students get along very well with their classroom climate, with their classmates, are very well integrated with them, respect others' opinions, and maintain good peer relationships. While as there are also some similarities within the three countries in what type of activities, civic activities they do with their students. So what they emphasize is in discussing current issues, current social issues with their student and using group work to promote civic engagement. And the type of materials that they use in the three countries are traditional ones, such as textbooks and lectures mostly. That's what they report. And teachers in the three countries report that they frequently use small group work and they promote students engaging in participation in these small groups during their lessons. When it comes to their self-confidence, reported self-confidence in teaching different topics, there are 3 main topics in the 3 countries that are where the teachers feel most confident in teaching, which are human rights, electoral processes, and conflict resolution. And the type of courses or training that they report having received in pre-service and in-service professional development stages are 2 main topics, mostly human rights and conflict resolution, whereas Chile also reports being very active in taking courses concerning critical and independent thinking and citizens' rights and responsibilities, and Italy in responsible internet use. Maybe the audience can give me a little bit more clarity about this situation. Some recommendations and further applications to finish my presentation. Firstly, when it comes to open discussion in the classroom, we keep emphasizing the importance of this topic. It's very useful that when teachers promote spaces where students feel that they can discuss in difficult and social and political topics, it's very, very useful for developing these type of competencies. Also, if possible, countries should shift towards transversal and cross-curricular focus of civic education. Some countries have a curriculum that is transversal and this topic permeates in every subject matter, and some other countries have a specific subject matter that only covers these topics in that moment of the learning process and in no other ones. So it's important to think about shifting into a transversal focus. And of course, we need to keep investing in continuous professional development, to enhance teachers' ability to teach difficult topics, sometimes are difficult topics, such as conflict resolution within the class and within society. So we have to think about, do we as a country, whichever country it is, do we have a specialized track within the pre-service teacher training, or do we not? Do we need one? Is teacher training in service sufficient to develop these competencies in teachers or not? So these are some further applications within a broader spectrum of global civic and citizenship education. First, comparing different approaches from different regions and countries in the world helps us to highlight and reveal both unique and shared challenges in fostering civic engagement. Also, understanding how teachers think, how they perceive themselves, what type of activities they do in the classroom, and what type of training they receive, informs global efforts and helps us enhance civic and citizenship educational, the pedagogy that surrounds it. And finally, some comparing teachers' perceptions across countries and regions offers us an opportunity to share best practices within countries and cross-regional collaboration. So these are some readings that I would recommend for all of you. And do you remember the initial question that I posed? So think about this, reflect upon it, and I have two questions for the audience, which I'm going to take as homework with me. And I would kindly ask you to scan this QR code and answer them now, at a later moment during the last few hours of the conference. And this can help us start a discussion and take some questions from the audience. Questions, recommendations, and comments. So thank you very much for your time.